Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today for another video. Today's installment is going to be dedicated to my dad. So he watches my channel every day, which I really appreciate, and he was of course the person who got me into this hobby to begin with as a kid, over 30 years ago now. And we were talking this past weekend, and one of the things he said is, I watch your channel and I enjoy it, but sometimes with the newer product or the newer stuff, I just don't recognize any of the athletes. He has not been kind of a fan of major sports, since probably all of us moved out of the house or moved on to other things. And so he just doesn't recognize some of that stuff, even though he's a good sport and he watches every day. So I thought we would put something up here on the channel that he will absolutely recognize, that will take me back to my time as a kid collector. And that is Topps Kids Baseball, which you see in front of you here. So most of you probably know what this is, but this is a product that I think now more than ever, in a way, is sort of very refreshing and relevant, or should be, because, in an age where cards are selling for over $1 million and everybody's getting in the hobby to be an investor and make money for retirement or to strike it rich, and people are erupting in fistfights and Target over, retail blasters. It's just important to remember that this kind of all started as a way to entertain young kids. And I think no set exemplifies that more in the history of Topps cards than this 1992 Topps Kids release. I think these are either like a you love them or you hate them kind of thing. I can totally see maybe how if you were, a grown adult when these came out, you may not have been that into them, but I was a 9-year-old in the summer of 1992, and so these could not have been right any more up my alley than they were. Certainly remember my brothers and I opening many, many packs of this stuff. It is the example of a basic set. There's, I think, something like 132 cards on the checklist, and that is it. There are no hits, there are no inserts, there's no anything other than the standard cards. You got 7 of them in a pack with some bubble gum. At the time, I'll move the camera here, you can see these cost, 35 cents a pack. Honestly, they're probably not much more than that these days, if you can find them. I don't know if these have experienced a crazy price increase or anything like other things have in our hobby. I sort of doubt it. But anyway, I thought it'd be fun to take a look at these, maybe open up a couple of packs here and just kind of take a look at what kids were ripping back in the summer of 1992. So interestingly enough, the wrapper has no logos here on the uniform. I'm not really sure why that is, but I really like the vibrant colors here and the artwork that Topps went with. You can see you get 7 cards a pack, and you actually used to still get a stick of bubble gum back in this day. And these, of course, were the old school actual wax wrappers as well, that I sort of miss, although I can totally see how we would have tampering issues with what the hobby has become today if we were to use this. One thing that's kind of a nice touch and I think is sort of cool, I'll try to preserve this wrapper the best I can because these are kind of neat. The gum in this product, and I don't know if I recall seeing this, too many other places, but Topps actually individually wrapped the sticks of bubble gum. So these are in foil wrapping, with a paper wrap around it, much like, if you grew up, you could still get it like this today, but if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, this was how your stick of gum always came from, like a pharmacy or a retail store. So I think it's cool that they actually designed a wrapper and a logo specifically for the gum. And then, these aren't valuable cards, obviously, but it does have the side effect as well of not damaging any of the cards that are inside the pack with gum residue or anything like that. So in this particular pack, we have Ryan Sandberg leading it off. There's a handful of different designs that we'll see here that got used. This one obviously just features cartoon players in the background. What I love about this set, as much as anything, is the card backs. These are just fun. I mean, if you're someone who enjoys like the cartoons that were on the Topps cards back in the day, especially in like the 50s, some of those sets, these are just, they really harken back to that. They're full color. This is not the card back that you wanted to consult to get somebody's full career stats or anything like that, but I don't think that was the intent of the set either. These were really just aimed at young children to get them into the hobby and into baseball. And this is kind of cool. This is actually card number 1 on the checklist here, Ryan Sandberg. Next up, we have Denny Martinez of the Expos. So look at the sort of baseball diamond design here. And again, the backs of these are just so great. Cool illustration. So I will quickly flip through and at least look at the back of each card in the 2 packs that we're going to open here. Here's one of my favorite designs. This is Matt Williams depicted in front of a dugout of cartoon players. Topps actually revived this in recent years and created one of those Throwback Thursday sets where they featured some of the young players of the game. I think there's a Juan Soto, a Tatis, and maybe even an Acuna that are on this design. I have 1 or 2 of them, which I'll show at some point, but that's not really for today. Here's a look at the back of Matt Williams, crushing a homer there. It's kind of an interesting stat too. He has homered against every team in the NL for 2 seasons running when this card came out. Pretty cool. Here's one of my favorite designs when I was a kid, which is the standard head placed on the cartoon or caricature body. Somewhat reminiscent of like what Score was doing around this time with some of those all-star subsets in their flagship set. But pretty neat Ken Caminiti there. Here's the back, neat cartoon. Most strikeouts in a career. My favorite player ever, Nolan Ryan. Even back then in 91, he was already the career strikeout leader. Here's a nice Randy Johnson with one of the more sort of uneventful backgrounds in the set, but still pretty cool. And I just love, I mean, looking through these, I think Topps did a great job, like just using bright, vibrant colors, and so much of the color palette is used. These things just really pop and are so much fun. So if you have a player that you collect or a team, really recommend going out and picking up some of these. Here's an Eddie Murray, and they sort of borrowed from the world of O-Pee-Chee, the now with Mets designation. So that's kind of cool. Nice bat donut shot here of a Hall of Famer. And closing out pack 1, we have Chuck Finley. And let's take a look at the back of the Murray here. Here he is climbing towards 400 home run plateau. And here's the back of the Chuck Finley, talking about his fantastic ERA in night games. I like the starry sky there. So yeah, just really, really fun. Let's take a look at one more pack. I don't want this video to go too long. I picked up this wax box a couple of years ago. I want to say it cost me like $25, and it's just really fun to, it's a cool visual piece just to have on the card shelf in my office, quite honestly. And then over time, when I get the itch sometimes, I rip open a pack or 2 like this, and I'm slowly hand collating a set. So here's Mitch Williams popping off this card. There's your cartoon back. Roberto Alomar of the Jays, who were, you know, right alongside the Braves as one of the better teams in baseball around this time. Next up, we got Tim Wallach in front of the dugout here. I think that is probably my favorite design out of all the cards in this set. Here's the back of Tim's card, talking about his stealing of home. That's a pretty cool cartoon there. Next up, Steve Sachs, now with the White Sox. Sort of, this one will make you dizzy if you stare at it too long. Here's the back of Sachs's card. Next up, we got Tim Raines, referred to as Rock Raines, which makes this card just even cooler in my mind. I remember this one from when I was a kid for sure. Here's the trivia tune. Pulled a nice Red Sox card here with the great Wade Boggs, one of the best contact hitters ever to swing a bat. Love this card. I think I need that one for my set as well. Here's a nice illustration of the 4-time batting crown, AL batting crown Boggs. And we close it out with 2 sports star Bo Jackson. Would have been really happy to pull this one from a pack back in the day. These came out right during the Bo Knows phase, which is another thing my dad will remember, I'm sure, back in the early 90s. So that's a wrap for today. Just thought this would be a neat thing to take a look at, is sort of the anti-investor product. And I think, like I said, is a very good reminder as to the reason why cards came about to begin with, and the reason why many of us got our entry into this hobby, many years back. So really cool. Appreciate you taking a few minutes to join me today. Hope you enjoyed this one as well, Dad, and recognized a few of these names. And to everybody else, I will be back tomorrow with some more content. Take care.